So in this video, you're going to be watching a group of ladies who are just incredible. I interviewed them, I got some questions, I got some information about how they are dealing with life, how they are going through life, and how amazing they really are. So make sure you watch to the end of this video, and make sure you get in contact with any of the ones you most resonate with, because they're all amazing, they all give such great insight, and I appreciate all of them. Yes, I have 3 different hairstyles in a week. I've stuck with this one now, so that you will see my hair change throughout the videos. My quality on my camera is not so great, but it's a documentary on Zoom. It's a 2021 documentary, which is only possible to be done on Zoom, so enjoy. And make sure you hit that subscribe button and that bell icon so that you get notified whenever I post. But other than that, let's get into the video. But definitely sticking with this hairstyle now. I quite like it. What do you think? So for example, like myself, I'm a hypnotherapist, but I want to find out who are you underneath that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's a good question and something I feel like I'm still in the process of learning. But I think we all are, aren't we, throughout our lives,
100%.
still learning. But
100%.
I'm somebody who likes to delve into the deeper meaning of everything. I feel like I'm always like asking questions. Well, what's that for? But why are they doing that? I'm somebody who absolutely loves to travel. I love freedom.
Mm.
I love to feel like I'm doing everything I possibly can excuse me, with my life. So
Yeah.
like spontaneous, like jumping at any opportunities I'm given, and someone who is trying to fulfill their purpose, I guess, of
Mm.
helping people.
Love.
Um, yeah, and just trying to leave the most peaceful footprint, I guess, I can in my life, like by the choices I make. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
a good person, I
You
hope.
know what? That's really difficult to answer actually, because I feel like I've been so lost in everything. I've kind of semi forgotten myself. So I want to say, oh yeah, I'm a mum of 3, but that's not who I am either. I don't know. I'm just me. I'm just plodding along with my life. I like to have fun. I am quite lazy though at the same time, but
I think we
I
all
just
are.
want to. I just someone that wants to have a laugh and have fun and enjoy life,
Yeah.
basically.
Love that. And what does it mean to you to have fun? Because obviously some people's definitions of fun is completely different to another. So I'd be curious to know that.
Okay, yeah, admittedly, fun is like for me watching serial killer documentaries on Netflix. So, so you know what? I just want to have like just be happy and just be content and just get
Yeah,
along. Like I don't need to go. I'm not one of these people that just got like this lust for going out constantly and partying and
I'm the
in
same.
like traveling all over and experiencing stuff. It's just I find fun in just being happy and in content with my surroundings and my
Mm.
environment, and just generally having that feeling of, oh, actually I'm all right, I'm happy.
Yeah, yeah. I love that. I love that because there's definitely 2 ends of that spectrum where some people are just like fun for me is like you said, traveling, spending
Mm,
loads of money on nice cars, like going to the craziest places, eating the most
mm,
expensive food, like all that type of stuff. But I'm like you. I don't enjoy going out because I had such a bad past with like drugs and stuff like that. I genuinely
mm.
don't enjoy it. And if you spending time with your kids is fun, then that's all it really comes down to. And I suppose that really shows who you are as a person as well.
Yeah, and it's weird for me actually, because work is, I know we're not talking about work, but it is a big part of my life, and actually I
Mm.
feel like I've actually managed to make it fun for myself as well. So I actually enjoy work as well, like all this part of talking to different people. So it's quite nice actually. Like it's just, I just love getting to know people as well. So it's always like just finding that contentness in asking people about questions about themselves and sort of like
Mm.
learning about other people. It's so like always interesting. Someone's always
Yeah.
got a story to tell.
Ooh, I am a spiritual being having a temporary human experience.
Love it, love it,
No,
love
I'm
it.
kidding. I would say I'm someone that just really wants to impact the world in a positive way, and I have had a lot of experience that has led me to where I'm at. And I think that it's so important to be giving more in our society now, because so many people think about what they desire to manifest and create in the world, but they don't really focus on what can you give.
Venezuelan living in Australia, mom of 2 little ones, got a husband, I have a business, I have a consulting role, I'm an introvert. I love people, but I love to be spending time with myself. I love self-growth and development, and habits and routine, wake up at 4 a.m. in the morning, and I'm a bit obsessed with personal growth. So that's me.
Besides the gratitude retreat, what else is it that you do as a business or as a brand?
So I've been a yoga teacher for the last sort of 2.5 years.
Amazing.
Alongside a dance career. So I've actually been a professional dancer for 15 years.
Wow.
Should really show my age there. But yeah, that's been my main job for my adult life. But because of COVID and the pandemic and sort of the collapse of the dance industry, that's been sort of swept from underneath my feet, and it's forced me to go full time into yoga teaching. So
Wow.
although I haven't hung up my dancing shoes, I guess I am a yoga teacher alongside the gratitude retreat as well.
So I am building an online community for women in corporate.
Oh wow.
And global, and it comes really from my background in banking and seeing the need and knowing, and observing it over 20 plus years, probably longer, dare I say, and but also realizing the changes that have happened in the last probably 5 years, and specifically the last year.
We help individuals to redesign their lives by really tapping into the core beliefs and reasons and potential fears that they haven't been able to face for a very long time across all of the areas of their life. So really looking at a holistic view of every single area of the life, from life, relationship, financial stability, career, life purpose, contribution. And we combine design thinking, neuroscience, mindfulness, and a bit of psychology to help people to kind of get to a place where they want to be, and then start experimenting with life. That's kind of what my business does.
I saw you run, is it called gratitude retreats?
Yes, so I've actually I've had a gratitude practice for years and years, but I only just started, I guess, this new little business of mine, my little baby, the gratitude retreat. I started officially in January, but I was sort of delving into it for the few months before the end of last year. But yeah, it's just like a 28-day program that I do with people, where we do daily meditations and gratitude tasks and other little things related to sort of helping you feel the best you can, and helping to people to learn about themselves. And yeah, it's really helping people find a positive mindset, and they're sort of, it's all the things that I've learned, I guess, in my spiritual life put together in a 28-day program. So yeah, it's been really fulfilling for me to have found that this year.
Nice.
So fundamentally, I'm an accountant, so like that is obviously like the world's most boring job. So that is what it is. That is what my title is. What's my qualification? I am an accountant. So I'm self-employed, so I own an accountancy practice, and I always knew I didn't want to be like a traditional accountant. I'm not in any way, shape or form like a traditional accountant. I wear grungy, baggy clothes. I'm like, I had green hair last year, so it's just, I'm like the opposite of what an accountant looks like. And I kind of realized to myself, like, people actually find accountants quite intimidating. Even I find accountants quite intimidating when they're the proper kind of like traditional stereotypical accountants, because you get worried that you're going to be seen as a bit stupid, or like you get a bit self-conscious that you don't know what they know, when actually reality is, if you're not an accountant, you shouldn't know this stuff anyway. It's not your area. It's not for you to know. That's what accountants are for. So I was like, right, I want to make accounting accessible for people, and I want to make it fun for myself, because it is an intense job and it does take over your life. So why not make it enjoyable? So the way I work is I've utilised every single bit of software I can possibly come across. Sorry, I've got a bit of dry mouth. Sorry.
That's all right. I totally agree with
that. That out,
yeah. I might just leave it in.
Oh, damn it. So I like to utilise as much software as I possibly can to streamline as much as I can. The reason I like to do this is, one, because I'm lazy and I like to make things as easy for myself as possible. But two, it's because I've actually realised that I really enjoy getting to know businesses and getting to know business owners and talking to different businesses and creating all the content that I put on my Instagram. I actually really quite like doing that. I didn't think I would like doing it, but it turns out I do. So I wanted to work in a way that I could, one, make accountancy accessible to business owners, two, make it fun for myself, and three, kind of like not make it feel so much like work for me. So because I'm so involved in my clients, they all end up coming like friends, and it's all quite sort of like, so it's just how it's all ended up, I suppose. Like I've worked really hard to get it how it is, and I just feel like I'm really enjoying it. Like I do work on weekends, not all day or weekends, but I don't feel like work anymore. Like I don't wake up and think, oh, I've got work today. It's just oh yeah, I've got work today.
Love that. And when you said you were like, maybe it's because you're lazy, I actually think it's because you're smart. Because if you can break down like your time, and you can make your time easy. Obviously, that's what these other companies are out there for. These softwares, I do not have a clue how any of the half the softwares that I use work. Even Instagram, I don't have a clue how it works. I know how to post. That's all I know.
It's so true. So when I first started out, I used to work on like an hourly rate basis, and I was like, hang on a minute, there's only 24 hours in a day. I can only work on one client during an hour, and actually I'm restricting my income to hourly rate times however many hours I'm working. And I also found that people didn't tend to have as much respect for your time when you're working on that sort of like basis. And because of sort of like, I've got 3 children, I've got my disability, and I've got like my health problems, I've always been very much like, my job needs to work around me, not the other way around. Like it has to be like, my life is first, my job is second.
Yeah, so what I'm doing is I call it a relationship coach, but really it's relationship to self. And it's helping my clients have healthy relationship with themselves in terms of their sexuality, loving their body more, and connecting more with their feminine. Because a lot of women I've worked with, they're in masculine jobs in corporate America and really craving to connect more with their intuition and their bodies and their sexuality.
And how was it you actually got into that line of work?
So I've always been a person who's been very inward focused around, like, how can I improve myself? How can I be a better version of myself? And for me, it's not about comparing myself to others. It's really knowing that deep inside, I can do things better across every area of my life. And because I was experimenting with the framework, I decided to then, put it out to into the world. And so I think it's just I don't think it is my legacy for now to make sure that I can share with others a framework and a tool and a set of mindsets that can help them get unstuck and potentially move forward. And for me, it's just not that very superficial way of working. Like for me, it's really going deep, and that's why we like what you do, for example, like which we could talk about offline separately, but the hypnotherapist that I've been working with, she's been helping me to kind of create some elements that we can then bring into the training, because it's all about going back. For me, that's my business called Square One, going back to square one, like the core reasons why things are in shifting. And it's not about the superficial stuff, it's about the deep stuff, the deep work that people don't do. And so that's where we go. And that's my legacy, is just to help people with that.
Wow. Incredible. And it's needed. It is needed. And what you said is perfect, where when I work with people, I don't really, not that I don't care, but I don't really care about the actual issue. So when I market to people, I will say, I help you with this issue. But what I know and what you know is the issue is never the issue. The issue is what started the issue, the original cause, which then causes anxiety, depression, fear, struggle, blocks to abundance, all that kind of stuff. You're already aware of that.
Was the change, in all honesty, because I was a pioneer in banking, one of the first women into a certain role, and thank you. And that came with all sorts of challenges, I have to admit, but interesting, right? Who's not up for a challenge? And but like I said, it got to the point where things just weren't working. There was no flow in essence, and I can see by what's around you that you understand flow. So I got in quite a funk around my own career, which was, started out perfectly fine, and it got kind of got to withering away in the end. I had successes and failures along the way, but it was withering away at one point. And I went, oh, if I don't do something about this now, it's going to just be ended. So I did something about it, and it was creative. What I did was really creative.
Wow.
And out of left field, and it worked. It worked on day one, and within minutes I knew this thing had worked. It was basically something energetic that I did.
Oh, wow.
And so with that initial success, I just started trying more and more things, and got me to this fabulous place, and then more success followed from there.
So I left school, didn't have a clue what I was going to do, and I just kind of my mum and dad's friend got me a job in something. I can't even explain what it was. It was just like an admin job, and then I moved into an accounts department helping out. Okay. So I was only 17, and then I started getting really, really, really tired, like really tired. I can't even explain how tired I was, and everyone was like, "Oh, you're a teenager. You're just being lazy, basically." But I'm talking waking up, leaving the house, going to work, coming home and going to bed tired, and sleeping solidly 15 hours every single night.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And it was just like, I couldn't explain it to people. Like, it doesn't matter how much I explained to people how tired I felt. They just didn't get it. It was like, you're young, you're tired. And my leg started hurting. And it was going like all this backwards and forwards to the doctors, getting like my leg looked at. Well, 1 minute they'd say I had shin splints, which is the result of like too much activity. Then the next they'd be wondering if it's like a DVT, which is as a result of too little activity. It was like they couldn't make their mind up what was going on. And then one day I woke up and I actually couldn't walk. I couldn't put any weight on my leg. It was stuck at an angle. And I had to go to the doctors, who sent me straight to hospital for an x-ray, and they found a massive tumour in my leg. And what had happened was the tumour had grown over my knee, like where it had just like gradually grown. It grown to the point where it was preventing my knee from straightening. So I was stuck where I'd had my leg bent when I was asleep, and the tumour had grown overnight. It was stuck at that angle. And so I had to have like chemotherapy. I had to have 9 months of chemotherapy. I had to have limb salvage surgery, which is where they remove they removed my femur, my knee joint, about I think 83% of like my quadricep muscle, and they replaced it with a metal prosthesis. And I was in a wheelchair. I had to learn how to walk again, and everything, all while still having chemotherapy. So like recovering just took forever. And it was like, okay, I realized that commuting wasn't going to be easy for me, because I'm in pain every single day. Pain is like an everyday part of my life. So it's like, right, I need to do something, but I didn't really pay it too much attention. Then I got pregnant, like, so my poor mum, right? So then I'm like 19, I've just finished chemotherapy, I'm like disabled, I've got no qualifications, like I'm in like, just a general admin job, like, oh my God, this is a disaster. I was like, I really got to sort my shit out. So I just started studying. That was like, I already kind of work in an accounts department, so it makes sense to do something what I've really got a bit of experience in. And I literally just brought the books and I just started studying. I'd go to work, I'd like come home, I'd study, I'd look after my baby, who was a baby at the time. He's 11 now. And then I like stopped working because the pain in my leg was just too much, carried on studying. Like, I just juggled everything. And then eventually I set up a bookkeeping practice, but I didn't feel prepared enough to actually run it properly. So I continued to study to become an accountant, and it's just all gone from there, really. So I'm kind of like, didn't grow up wanting to be an accountant, but I'm really grateful for it. And it's not the career choice I would have made, but I've actually like managed to own it. So
you've made it yours.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily the desired job, you've made it a desirable job.
So got fired from my corporate job.
What was it you did?
I was working in insurance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I hated it.
I feel ya.
But yeah, so I got fired, and then I had all these health issues, so I had to go down the rabbit hole of dove into health. I became a health coach, got a certification in that, and just found the way of getting off all these antidepressants and really figuring out like studying health led me to spirituality. So I went down the rabbit hole and studied every spiritual concept you can think of.
Then you end up want to go sit in the mountain with loads of shamans or something.
But really, yeah, I went to Bali, I went to Costa Rica on a sexual retreat.
Oh wow.
I went to a Buddhist monastery in Mississippi. So I really was like the eat, pray, love kind of thing. But so then that led me to what I'm doing now, which in 2018, I was a health coach, and then it made me realize I actually hate this. It's so funny too, when you always hit those walls where you're like, something needs to change. This is not working. I keep pushing.
Yeah.
So that I was working with a mentor at the time for a year who was a sex coach.
Okay.
She also focused a lot on somatic work because I was so disconnected from my body. I felt nothing.
Wow.
And so she said, you hate health coaching. Stop it. Stop calling yourself that. And I was like, okay. She was like, and so at the time my title was sexuality empowerment coach.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I thought, oh, okay, that makes sense. And so it was so freeing. And so I started to do these interviews on Instagram, kind of similar to what you're doing.
Oh, wow.
And then I got into coaching. But yeah, it's just crazy how it all happens and just following the path.
Yeah. So obviously you wanted to, I'm assuming you enjoy the coaching industry. Your niche just wasn't the right one for you specifically.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I think it's, I love the coaching industry. What I like about this industry is it's people that want to grow and evolve and continue to up level.
100%. And that's
very
the thing.
Few industries are like that.
Well, that's the thing. And it's kind of like, I'm sure you get the same thing. Like if someone comes to you, it's not out of like someone being like, oh, go and see this person, go and see Haley for this. Like they've got to want it as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And I think at this point, I really like working with people that actually want to do the work and are dedicated and really care about their relationships, their relationship with themselves.
Definitely.
Yeah, because that's the best kind of people to work with. So
would you say when you work with people in regards to the relationship side of things, that you always start with self-love? Because I know that was where I went, but is that how you would go about it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I think the whole self-love thing is kind of cliche in our society now because people are like, oh, you just need self-love, get a bubble bath or whatever, but it's like, no, you need to do like, Jordan Peterson.
Yeah.
He says self-love meaning like clean your room, or self-love meaning eat healthy, or whatever it is for you. But yeah, that's the thing.
You actually started doing to get that success?
Well, a combination of things. It's actually really quite a journey. It's about first making the acknowledgement that you want to create change, like anything. And then the decision to actually act on that desire, and then how to act and who to call in, and where to pull information from. And so there was a lot of really soul searching in the process, and really each action quite naturally, in a kind of natural progression, built on itself to get me to a point of just complete and full confidence. Even when stuff was going wrong, nothing knocked me off center. So
that's what it is, really, isn't it? I suppose it's finding, because life isn't just positive. Life's not just yang. It's not yang. There is yin. There's the negative things that happen. But if, like you said, you can deal with that in the best possible way, then you're going to get the best results possible for you. Because we lose people, we break up in relationships, like negative things happen, and that's part of the world.
Well, sometimes those things aren't negative too, aren't they? I mean, sometimes it's a good thing for something to break and fall away. But you're right. I mean, the challenges come, but you've probably heard this before, and you probably know it yourself. But I have to say that the depth of learning that comes from the challenge is the most exciting thing to me now. If I see a challenge, I go, oh, I really kind of want to jump in there and get what it is.
I'm exactly the same. Well, I'm always I'm that person that something will go wrong and I'll be like, what can this mean? What do I need to do with myself? And then
there's going to be something better. Where is it?
That one door closes, it's like, right, that's it. There's 100 million new open doors that I can potentially go into.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
dope.
exactly. And it's just worked really well for me because I've got my little ones. Sometimes I'm in so much pain, I can't walk, and I have to take like opiate based painkillers and muscle relaxants to kind of like calm my leg down. And obviously I'm like a zombie for the rest of the day. So it's just really important to have that flexibility, which is why kind of like it's I've been really tunnel vision to make it the way that it's gonna like that it is, just to ensure that when I say, do you know what, I can't work today because I'm in too much pain, I can, or I've got commitments with my children, I can. And it's lovely, it's really empowering to go from being like I was like 20-year-old disabled single mum, no qualifications, living on benefits, to kind of like that total transformation.
Wow.
Where it's just like, married, mum of 3, okay, yeah, I'm disabled, but you know what, I'm getting there with it, and I've got my business, no one can ever take that away from me. It's like, it's incredible. Like, I feel like I'm not a statistic. Like, I feel like it was half born out of pettiness. When I got pregnant, my mum was just like, well, that's the end of your life, and I'm like, well, I'll show you.
I'm gonna show you. That's where that attitude comes from.
I mean, yeah, it took a long time to show her, but did.
Well, regardless, you proved yourself right at the end of the day, and that's what I always say to people. You could have been the statistic. Do you know what I mean? And coming from my background as well, it's not well, other than like injury wise. I mean, I broke my back when I was 16, but from like my past of being in drugs and stuff, I was going to go one way. And I was a builder. I was literally fulfilling the builder career of drinking, drugs, smoking, like crap food 24/7. Now I'm the complete opposite. I'm vegan. I meditate every day. I don't really drink. I haven't taken drugs for about 5 years, and I'm just the complete flip. So I love that you've got through that adversity. So what was it that sort of made you get through that adversity? What was it that made you say, like, as well as the I'm going to show you, what else was it, do you think?
My son's dad is an absolute, right. So I'm not with my son's dad, and I think it was like that as well, that it was just like, I think with me it was largely I will show you kind of thing. It's just proving people wrong. And I think I it's weird, really weird as well, because when I talk about my past, I'm like, oh my god, I sound like a really bad like novel that some cheesy writer has wrote about, like, everything's going wrong. I had cancer when I was a teenager, I was a single mum, I was like, and I was in a vulnerable position again because he was like quite financially abusive. He didn't sort of like pay anything towards like our son, and and it was just, I just really needed that independence. I don't rely on anyone. I don't have to. Like, it's great to have that, and I think that was really important for me to have that. So that has always been my thing. I have to have that independence, and it's just that has kind of like what's really got me through it.
I love that. And that's the thing, like all I can say is like that's amazing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so many people, they use their past as, no, I'm just never going to be able to do it, but you've broken through that and you've made it through. So what is one thing that you want to see happen in your lifetime?
I'd say I want to see people wake up, I guess. A lot of people are just living, like you say, like within the matrix and within their own little fear bubble, and I want people to awaken. I mean, there's a lot of people who have woken up to deeper realizations, and I want people to see that we're all connected and that we don't need to fight against each other or be greedy or compete, and that there's enough to go around, and that we are all connected in terms of as beings, not just humans, like animals, nature, like, and just for people to understand that we need to be kind for this earth to survive.
100%. I love that.
Very deep, but
yeah. No, it's deep, but it's very true. It's very true. Like, you see a lot of people now, especially with the pandemic, there's people that are this side, people that are that side, and there's people that are just going at each other, and it's like, can you just not have an opinion and just be okay with that? Like why do people have to fight? Like, there's no need for it. Like, of course there's going to be different opinions. Like, I don't know, sports teams, like someone sports one sport team, another sports another, you can still be friends. You don't have to argue, but you can still have your own beliefs at the end of the day. And I feel like that's powerful and it's needed. So when you say awaken, what do you really mean by awaken? Like would you say that is about sort of realizing that we are one with everything, with the universe, with animals, with nature and everything like that?
Yeah, I guess so. I guess it's just being conscious, and the reason I say that is because I haven't always thought the way I think. So at some point, I must have woken up to, I don't know, I don't know how to explain it, the deeper meaning of life and consciousness,
Yeah,
and
another level of thinking sort of thing.
it's another level of thinking, and that this life, I mean, probably could go down a rabbit hole here, but this life doesn't end here.
Yeah,
And like
I agree.
there's so much we're scared of and that we don't need to be scared of, and I don't know, just that you don't have to go to war, you don't have to fight to get things solved, like to come back to that, our true selves, which is love, to just
Yeah,
give love. And like, imagine what the world would be like if we could all think that way, but people don't. But that's not their fault, they just know what they know. And at some point they will, start to realize different things, just like we all have. But it takes some people longer than others, and so it would be just for that awakening to happen a bit more quickly, so that everything's better, I guess.
and that's why you're doing what you're doing. So you're part of that whole machine that's waking people up at the end of the day.
Yeah, okay. In my lifetime, I would love to see decentralization of production of everything. Basically, I would love to see food growing happening locally and delivered locally. I would love to see local crafts people doing their thing. I still think there's some room for global delivery of things, but there's much that can be done at a local level, and I would love to see that, because I think it would just enhance all these local spaces. They'd become alive again, and we could all become a bit more I was going to say pioneering, but understanding the value that we bring, and the things that we can do, not just the opportunities that someone else has created.
I love that. That's weird, actually, you said that, because I was thinking today, I really want to just have a place with just be able to be self-sustaining completely, where it is like run on off like solar panels, but then also grow my own food and stuff like that. And I think that would just be brilliant. That would be absolutely amazing. If more people did that, then one, we're going to be healthier, but you're also like you said, it just makes life, in my opinion, I think it would make life so much better and easier for people.
Yeah, I think it would make it more full. When we're caught up in jumping on public transport, maybe not now, and going off to a job or sitting in our office behind our computers all the time, the idea of being more local means you're going to talk to more people. You
be a community,
dig a garden over here, and someone else there's an electrician who can give you local services. I think that it would round out life a whole lot more.
Yeah, I mean, not even that, because we know the education system is crap. What I would love to see is, I mean, duh. Because I was a fashion major, and then before that, I was art history. I don't know what I was doing majoring in art history. But what I would want to see in the world is just people being more connected to themselves.
Definitely.
Because that's really the key to everything. That's what I'm constantly seeking, is a deeper connection with myself and my intuition, which is your body.
And then you would say that leads to more fulfilling relationships with yourself, with other people, with your spirituality, with your sexuality, with your health, with your wealth. It sort of covers everything, doesn't it?
Yes. Everything you seek is within you.
Love that. Love that. Actually, that reminds me of a quote when I went to Bali, and it was, "They who look inside, who look outside dream, they who look inside awaken." And I was like, oh, I really like that. And it really is. It starts within, and it's like a tree. It's like a seed at the end of the day. The tree's in the seed.
And think about it. You and I know this, and our society has really messed up people with the whole soulmate twin flame thing.
Yeah.
And even like the Disney movies, we are chasing, or not we, so many people are chasing the love from someone else, when really you are love. Like you can't chase what you are, right?
Love that. Love that. Love that. And it's so true. That really is so true.
More accessibility to everyone for everything, because I think that COVID is
What do you
obviously an
mean by
awful thing.
accessibility?
Huh?
What do you mean by accessibility?
So I think the way that the world is developing now, in the way that things are available to people without without these barriers being put in place. Like, we all know that if you want to earn big money, you go work in London, but what if you can't afford to live near London?
Yeah.
The commute, and then if you live outside of London, for instance, the commuting cost could be about £3,000 a year at least, and you can't afford that, but you're the most suitable candidate, and it's not your fault you can't afford that. Like, I want to see like home working being like a more acceptable thing. I know COVID has forced that, but I know there's going to be a lot of businesses out there that are going to be like, right, bums on seats so I can breathe down your neck all day, like as soon as it's all over. But actually, I think this has made things more accessible to people. Or you've got the single mums that they need to pick the nursery closes at 6 o'clock. If they've got a job an hour away that finishes at 5:30, they can't physically get to the nursery, and so they have to stop that job. And I think if they were allowed to work from home, or flexibility, I think it would be more accessible to them. So that's what I mean. I think we need to just remove these barriers for people, where it's like, whether it's geographical, or if it's sort of like timing wise, or even kind of like, I like the idea of blind CV, so you don't even know someone's name before you kind of like interview them. Like, I just want all those barriers removed so people get more opportunity. I can't stand the idea of when firms want to hire people and they say, right, you need to have like a minimum of a 2-2 from such and such university, when it's completely unrelated. I think, what about the kids that they couldn't go to university because it wasn't accessible for them at the time? They had to go to work to help their family pay the bills. Instantly like rejecting them. And it really frustrates me, because how can we all grow and develop and improve, like do better, when we've got all these restrictions in place?
And also those kids that, like you said, if they've gone out to work for themselves, but they can probably do a better job than some people that have gone to university. Not saying that university is the wrong way. I didn't go to university.
I didn't go to university.
Look where we are. But it doesn't take away from what someone can do. Just because someone can get a degree doesn't mean they necessarily are a better worker.
No.
Like, yes, there's a lot of, like, for example, if you were getting brain surgery, it makes sense to do a degree. Do you know what I mean? That makes a lot of sense. But to do accountancy, if you know how to do accountancy, if you've studied it, which there's a lot of free information online. Before I was qualified in hypnosis, I knew how to hypnotize someone, but legally I couldn't hypnotize someone. So I get it. If you're working with a lot of the things I work with now, it makes sense why I have to be qualified. And I totally get that and I understand that. But if you can do the job, you can do the job. And like you said, I think we now live where it's going to be a lot more home working. And I was talking earlier to someone about how for mums specifically, if they have a kid, they get X amount of weeks off as maternity leave, but then they have to go back to work. Like, if they can do that from home, they can just maybe do a few less hours and get paid, whether they get paid a little bit less for that, whether they do that, I don't know, it's down to whatever the business wants to do. But I think, like you said, that makes it more accessible for more people.
Yeah, it's just those, it's more about the barriers to entry, I suppose. Like, I totally get, obviously, like, you want a qualified accountant doing your accounts for you and that, but it's just those barriers to even get there in the first place. That's what really, really frustrates me. I just don't think it's fair. Like, I just really don't think it's fair
I suppose, for everyone.
Yeah, so a large part of what I do on my Instagram page as well is I post loads of tutorials and carousels and how-tos, because I want to make accounting more accessible to people, like small business owners. I mean, they've all done amazingly to actually start in the first place, and it's so scary. And I'm just trying to make, like, because there's some things where you would literally pay an accountant to ask them a really simple question, and they'll take that money and answer a really simple question. So I'm just trying to get like all that key information out there and break down those barriers of like entry with accounting, like enable people to do the real basics, just so they're not, scared off from doing a fantastic idea that might change their life just because they're scared of the numbers.
And I actually had that when I first started this business. This was the business that actually allowed me to pay tax, because I'd never earned over the tax bracket with any of my other businesses. And my initial thing was, what if I mess up? I had no clue until I spoke to my accountant that you don't have to pay your taxes until the next January. I was like, what? I thought if you didn't pay by April, you're going to prison. I generally thought, like, that was my genuine belief. I didn't know any differently. No one ever told me, and obviously I'd never spoke to an accountant, so I didn't have a clue. So yeah, I feel like if that information can be out there, then you're doing such a powerful thing to help a lot of people, and that could have a knock-on effect to help someone like myself, that then helps people, that helps a lot of people. That's because of one person like yourself. Like you don't even know the snowball effect what you're doing is having as well. Leave your penny in the world somewhere.
Yeah, I would love the world to be more empathetic towards each other. I would like people to be love and show love to each other. And just by, I guess, accomplishing that, there will be so many issues that will not exist, you know, inclusion, diversity, Black Lives Matter, everything in between. That will be such a beautiful thing to see. My people back home are suffering greatly because a lot of corruption, you know, third world country conversation. And I would love for that.
Was it Venezuela you said?
Yeah. So I would love to one day take my kids there and be a safe place, and, you know, show them the beauty of the country. And so that will be another thing that I would love to see before I die.
Wow, that's amazing. And then my final question really is, what would you say is the biggest problem you've been facing recently? Because as you know, I work with people similar to yourself, and the reason I'm making this video is to really show people that there's a lot of people struggling with similar problems. So what is the biggest problem you've been facing recently this really helped, or that has made you struggle?
I'm just trying how to answer this, because I could give you a lot of superficial reasons, but I know it's just, as you and I know, is not that. Fear of success has been a big thing for me. My family is a big priority, little ones at home, husband, and I love them dearly. I love spending time with them, but I'm I'm also very in love with my business. Like I'm obsessed with creating something meaningful and impactful. So I think I've slowed down the process of achieving things by limiting myself with the actions I take on a regular basis, just because of what I know it could happen if I was to succeed, and potential implications that will have on me and my family. So I've pushed a lot of, you know, superficial procrastination barriers, of, you know, shiny object barriers, all the things, right? And
We'll do it.
So I'm just so aware of it. So that's what I'm struggling. And because of that, then, you know, there is a ripple effect, financial ripple effect, emotional ripple effects, mindset, all of it. So that's in a nutshell, I guess.
Well, yeah, exactly. I'm not perfect by any means. I struggle with a lot of things, a lot mentally. I've always struggled with anxiety, which is, especially in my dance career, which is one of the reasons, again, why I wanted to do the gratitude retreat. But my anxiety is 10 times better now. My mindset has improved, but I struggle with perfectionism is a massive thing for me. So therefore, I think that not anything I do isn't good enough. So that's one thing I'm really trying to work on, and knowing that whatever I do, it's enough, or whoever I am in any given moment is enough. But if I see any sort of imperfection, I'm like, well, you know, it's not good enough. It needs to be perfect, but like that's not possible. And yeah, I do struggle with self-love, but it's something I'm really improving and getting better at, and self-belief. But there's lots of little things, some of them that have improved and some that haven't, but I weave them all into the gratitude retreat. So we do like self-love meditations and all of these little things, but I know that I can share it with these people because I've experienced those feelings as well, those like struggles. Whereas if everything was great, I feel like what I had to offer would be nowhere near as beneficial.
Definitely.
So yeah, I'll hold my hands up and say I struggle daily, but that's okay. I'm working on it, and I have the tools now to help me too.
Love that. And what you said about you've been through it yourself, it's coming at it from a place of, I can't remember which one it is. You're coming at a place from empathy rather than sympathy.
Yeah,
so you can actually understand their pain, because the reason I help with anxiety, imposter syndrome, and childhood trauma, because, and I've experienced all three. So it's not just knowledge, it's actually experience.
Yeah.
So combining the two is in my opinion, and your opinion as well, by the sounds of it, is much more powerful rather than just someone who's just read a book and got a qualification. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people in this field, the people who are giving advice and helping people, they're doing it because they've been through it themselves and they're coming from a place of experience. But yeah, imposter syndrome as well, it's another thing I battle with daily, even when I teach yoga, because obviously, like, you start where you start and you have to build up, but constantly I'm like, well, I've only been doing it this long and this person's doing it for 10 years, and well, she knows so much more than I do, and so they're going to choose her, like, all the time, and I'm not good enough and I don't know enough. Like, it's all of that, and I had it
Yeah.
throughout my dance career.
Wow.
It's very damaging thing to have, but I think a lot of people have it, for sure.
I think a lot of people do. I've really struggled with it. I couldn't charge money for my service when I first started. I couldn't. I did a year for free, and financially that absolutely ruined me.
Yeah.
But even mentally it ruined me. But then when I started to come to terms with it, and I realized I haven't been doing it the longest, but I'm the right person for some people, not for everyone, but long term, I can be the right person, and I'm sure you are too. And
I've committed to something that sucks up my time, something chronic.
I'm with you there. I'm 7 days a week.
And it's online funnels, basically. So
Okay.
ClickFunnels is the platform I'm using.
Amazing.
And online business anyway has so many moving parts. ClickFunnels for me has become the logical way to organize the automation and cover the whole spectrum of what I need to do, or a lot of it anyway. So that because their aim is to make life much easier for their customers to get the result. And they're very good at it, I must admit. I'm very impressed actually by what Russell Brunson does.
Yeah.
So my challenge with all of that is, well, I'm learning it as I go. I'm not one to learn and then go back and do it. I do it and learn along the way. So I guess I get stuff wrong. And time is the hard thing, because rabbit holes, and I feel that part of that is not having a team around me all the time, which provides that kind of body of movement or momentum towards a common goal. The being solitary, even if using other people's services to a point, I think that is a kind of a dangerous space, because we lose track of time. Whatever I put in place for time management, I forget to use because when you're creative, time is not a thing. And so probably time.
I would say I'm very type A.
Okay.
So, and it's so funny too, I attract people that are also type A. I would say type A in the sense of like I expect a certain level, and then when I don't meet that, it's like
from yourself. Okay. Would you say?
And then I expect other people around me to meet it. I'm like, why are you not? Come on. I'm like, hello. So yeah, I think that the type A thing is something I'm always working on. Is like, especially with people in this industry, and I'm sure you can relate. It's like all of us, we have a lot of goals, but also being happy now.
Yes. It's kind of that. It really is exactly that. Being content with what we've got, but still striving for more. Like, I agree. Like, if you want nice things in life, go and do it. I'm not against it. I'm all for making money. I'm all for traveling the world and enjoying yourself. But I'm all for also being happy right now with having nothing, with having something, with having little. And that's what I suppose bringing it back all the way back around is, if you're happy with you as a person, then everything externally will sort of come back, right?
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Love that.
So like current struggles are, it always goes down to my leg. I have a life of pain, basically. I'm in pain every single day of my life. It just forms a general part of it. There's not a single day that goes by that I don't feel pain. But the levels sort of like vary, and it's very difficult, because for like me especially, it's like when I feel pain, it's like, well, why am I feeling pain? Oh yeah, I'm feeling pain because this happened to me and I had to have this surgery. And it just makes you think about it, which is very difficult. Like, there's no escaping it. There's no forgetting about what happened. I've got like this 15-inch long scar on my leg. It's like very obvious. I've got limp, and that can be quite difficult, because I do largely accept it, but at the same time, it's just infuriating. It's like, I just want to go down the road and get something, but I can't. Like, a couple of weeks ago, I literally just needed to go to the post office to get something. I didn't have my car and I had to look after my daughter, so I had to take my daughter with me. So I took my painkillers so I could go down the road, and they had a really weird effect on me, and I was like half high down the road with my 4-year-old daughter. And I got back and I'm like, right, I've got to go lay down. And it's just stuff like that, and it's like, for God's sake, I just want to go down the road, and I have to weigh up, do I take my painkillers, do I not, or I've got a deadline, what do? Do I just lay down like in pain and try to do it, or do I take my painkillers and hope that tomorrow I'm in like a better place? That is the annoying thing, and obviously that does really get me down. So that is probably my main struggle.
With that being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have an amazing day. Keep smiling, spreading love, kindness, and so much positivity. Yeah.